Hey there, yogi. Welcome to another Roots of Peace yoga video. I'm Chelsea. This is Luna, who no longer comes on camera unless I have milk bones. She has become quite the diva with her little videos. Anyway, today's practice, rest and restore, is just that. It's pretty passive. We'll do a little bit of movement, and that's it. She's out. She got paid. She's done. You will need your mat, a block bolster, and a blanket. If you don't have some of these props, if you have a really fluffy like down comforter or something, sometimes that will work, and I do offer modifications or like other options if you don't have some of the props. You will also need a clear wall space. We're gonna do legs up the wall right out the gate, but if you don't have that, I also have another option. So no worries whatsoever. Very quickly, March, one of the longest months, but went super zoomy fast for me. So my apologies for only getting 2 videos out last month. I will hopefully get 3 out in April. My schedule and the abundance that has been like coming in is just crazy amazing, and I talk about it a little bit once we get going. But anyway, so block, bolster, blanket, your mat, maybe a blank wall space, and then you're ready to like settle down and just relax and chill out for a little bit. It's about half an hour, so I will see you very, very soon. Oh, hey again. Thanks for joining me for rest and restore. We're gonna take things nice and slow, as I mentioned in the intro. So today we're gonna start with legs up the wall. If you don't have clear wall space next to you, I totally understand. There are very few spots in my house where this is a thing. So you can do it. If you don't have a wall, this is how you're gonna play this. So you can just lay on your back, extend your feet to the sky, straightening your legs, and then you're just gonna kick it like this. If you do have some wall room, you're going to come up to the wall and you're gonna square your sit bones up next to the wall. So this is how we get on the wall safely. So you wanna scoot your boot, that's what we call Luna's booty. You're gonna scoot your boot right up to the wall, your sit bones, and then you're gonna roll up on it. There we go. And then let your feet and your legs rest on the wall. We got it now. So settling into your legs up the wall or just legs in the sky. If you don't have a wall, you're gonna stay put. I'm gonna roll back down. So now with your legs in the air or on the wall, you can start to tap into your breath. So allowing the body to sink every time you breathe out. Spring is a beautiful time to reevaluate your routines and your habits. I mentioned this last month in a couple of videos, but it's a good time to kind of get into a new routine. Things are blooming. Well, they will be. We just had a shit ton of snow, pardon my language, but I'm over it. So things will be blooming eventually, depending on where you are. But it's a good time to cleanse, to realign and shed those winter layers and winter habits. We eat heavier foods in the winter, even if it's subconscious. So when we get into spring, shifting into things that are kind of light and bright, stuff like that. So settling into your breath and maybe thinking about some small things you can incorporate into your routine or some things you've been wanting to try this spring. Feel the seams, the inner seams of your legs and the seams at the backs of your legs and the sensation that's going on there. And you're gonna spend 3 more breaths with your legs up the wall. This is a beautiful stretch if you suffer from sciatica, if you have tight IT band issues, all those things. And it's also good just to get your feet up above your heart because that rarely happens in our day-to-day world. And 1 more breath. Now, to dismount off the wall, you're gonna do exactly what you did to get on the wall. So you're just gonna roll back off of it again, and then you can return to your mat. If you left your mat, maybe you need to scoot it a little further out. And so now you're gonna grab your bolster, and if you don't have a bolster, we're just gonna take a supported straddle pose. So So no bolster, no problem. Maybe you have like a big comforter you can lay in your lap and extend yourself over. If not, you can just plant your hands. You're gonna kind of dig in through your heels, micro bend in your knees, and then you wanna really root down through your sit bones. So maybe you take your thigh flesh and rotate it outward to kind of spread those sit bones so they are rooted down. Spring is a really good time to think about rooting and grounding and earth things. That's the technical term. It's not, but so yeah, really getting into nature, especially now that the weather will soon be nice. It's supposed to be nice next week, so hopefully some of this white business goes away. Okay, if you do have a bolster, you have a few more options. So I'm not super bendy in my hips, so I'm gonna take my bolster the long way and I'm gonna rest my forehead on it, and then I'm gonna wrap my hands around the front just to kind of support my shoulders and to make sure that the bolster isn't sliding. If it's on your mat and it's secure, you can rest your hands in your lap or wherever's comfortable. I like this position personally. So you wanna take the weight out of your head, and if you are super bendy in your hips, maybe you put your bolster in your lap and then you recline on down this way. And maybe you don't use the bolster at all if that's not for you. There are some people that can just fold on forward for days. But taking the position that is gonna suit you best, and then we're gonna rest here for some time. So the lovely thing about restorative yoga, and this is kind of a mix, like we're gonna do a little bit of movement but not a ton, but restorative yoga is where you hold these supported poses. So there's not a lot of activation going on compared to when we do like normal vinyasa asanas. But these are good because they still stretch things out. They're still working your fascia. They're still lengthening. And that's the goal in yoga or just in life, is you want to move your body, keep your tissues healthy. And the only way to do that is through movement, water, diet, all those things. But moving is very important. So sitting with your breath, we'll take 3 more. And accepting what is. That's my theme for the week. I didn't get to teach because we had a couple snow days, but accept what is. And when you accept what is, you're choosing it as well. And when you choose what is, you're taking those walls of resistance and you're bringing them down so that you can actually like flow, so that you're not putting things up and like, oh my gosh, like I hit a wall and like now I don't know what to do. So when you accept where you are, it brings you more clarity so that you can kind of like, oh, okay, this isn't so bad. Maybe I'll think about it this way and I'll be able to flow through it a little bit better than like, oh, I just don't want to do this. This sucks type deal. Hopefully that makes sense. You can come out of your restorative straddle. And now from here, we're just gonna do a few quick movements before we settle back in to some more restorative. So coming into all fours, plant the hands, spread the fingers, make sure that all the joints are stacked, and then start your cat-cows. We're gonna take these slow today. And if you need to speed them up a little bit, but the goal here is to feel into your body and accept where your body is, because it's not always going to perform the same way, as I've learned in my 35 years. And in my 30s now, I've noticed that, yeah, like things don't bounce back as quickly as they once did, and that is okay. But maybe you're taking some lateral cows as I just did, but moving in a way that your body is releasing things and you're pressing and flexing the tension out. So do 2 more. And now settling back to child's pose to give the wrists a little rest. Come back to the breath here if you haven't been with it. Sometimes our focus slips into our mind instead of on our breathing. This happens to me on the regular. But check in with your shoulders. See if you can maybe crawl your fingers forward a little bit more to stretch, but you're not hunching. You just want to pull Or maybe you're letting the elbows drop and you're trying to be passive. 3 more mindful breaths here. Body is sinking and softening with every out breath. And now making your way back up to tabletop, you can step to high plank. Take your down dog, moving slowly. And just gently press your heels down towards the floor a little bit more if they're lifted. If your heels are on the ground, like that's all you got, which is awesome. That's the goal one day, is to get those heels down, but my body isn't shaped that way, which is okay too. So now you're gonna baby step your feet to your hands on your in-breath for your forward fold. Hang out super heavy in the head, breathe in for a halfway lift. Pressing the hips behind you, drop down to fold, inhale to reach to extended mountain, and bring the hands to heart center. And now from here, standing in mountain pose. So palms are open to the front, and then take a moment to take your attention down to your feet. I've been really focusing on how I stand. I have something in my eye, excuse me. Okay. But I want you to focus on the 4 corners of your feet. So make sure your weight is even, but press the outsides of your feet into the mat just a little bit more so that you're lifting your internal arch, your inside arch. And then making sure that your ankles and your knees get stacked, your hips are over those joints, your shoulders are over those joints, and then your head is neutral. So we have this lovely neutral spine, neutral body. And then you're going to sit. You're going to stand and settle with the breath. Close your eyes down or soften your gaze. And deep, deep belly breaths here in your mountain pose. Being with your breath. And remembering that every breath is a chance for you to clear, a chance for you to cleanse. Our breath helps us connect back with our body, which is something that is hard to do in today's society. So get back down there. Be with your beautiful body. 2 more breaths in your mountain pose. As you inhale, sweep the arms high, extended mountain. Exhale to come down to your fold. Halfway lift. Forward fold. You can step or hop to high plank. And then drop your knees. So from here, moving to another restorative pose. This is technically a yin pose, but the difference between yin and restorative, if you're wondering. So yin yoga, you hold an asana for 1 to 5 minutes, and there's a mild sense of activation. You use props sometimes, but you're trying to like passively work your fascia. And with restorative yoga, it's even more passive. So we're just getting into these lovely like poses that allow our body to really rest. Whereas yin, you have some activation. In restorative, it's not nearly as much, and we use a ton of props to like just prop the body up in ways so that it can rest and remember how to relax. So anyway, back to what we're doing. We're gonna take reclining deer pose. So you're gonna build the yogi ramp, and if you don't have a block and a bolster, you can just take deer legs, which they're also called Z legs. So you're gonna, to start, if you're building the ramp, one end of the bolster is on the block, one is on the mat, and you probably want your block on the lowest setting. And now to get your legs, you're gonna wrap your left leg around the front and then your right leg around the side of your body. And if you don't have the props, this is where you are. And you can plant your hands next to you if you need to. If you've got your ramp built, you're gonna take a deep breath in, turn off to your left, and then as you exhale, you're gonna lower your torso down onto the bolster, and either cheek of your forehead or chin can rest on the prop. Arms are framing. And now you can sink in and settle with the breath. This is one of my favorite poses just because I sit with my legs bent a lot, and so this is just nice for my hips, and it works really well. So continuing to stay in your reclining deer pose. And knowing that you are where you're supposed to be in this moment, in this life that we have. So if you've got lots of shoulds, woulds, coulds on your list today or for the month or whatever, you'll get done what speaks to you and what needs to be done. Sometimes things don't get done because that's not a part of the plan sometimes. Even if it's a part of your plan, it's not a part of the like greater plan sometimes, which is hard to take in if you're a control freak like I am. But allowing those to pass and to not cloud up your headspace, especially during this time when it's very important for you to restore and recharge. You can push yourself back up now, coming out of your reclining deer pose, and you're just gonna roll over to the side. You don't have to move your ramp. And so now bringing the right leg in the front and then the left leg will wrap behind. Right hip is coming to the bottom of the bolster. And again, if you don't have props, you switch out your legs and this is where you will sit. You are rooted down on your right glute. And so you can close your eyes if you don't have the props. If you do have the props, deep breath in, twist off to the right, exhale to lower down onto the bolster. And then you can rest. So I had a little bit of just now, when I come down on the bolster, the studio I teach at in Rapid, we have a headset, and if you go down on the left side of the headset, it ends the Zoom call. So as I was lowering, I was like, wait a minute, I don't need to worry about that. Just a weird little headspace hiccup, it's fine. So sinking in to your reclining deer, coming into the breath again. When we accept what is and where we are too, there's this lovely opening into not having labels on things. So it allows us to think of whatever might be hindering us, hindering our growth. It allows us to think of that thing or that idea in a completely different light and relabel it, which is something that I kind of always have to keep in check for myself. I've had so much abundance lately. It's been mind-blowing. I can't even put words to it because it's so effing awesome. Insert swear words because it's so great. But it's been a lot. It's been a lot of busyness, and I've been trying to kind of cut back on my schedule this month. So last night I was like, I need to reframe this because I'm stressing myself out. Like, I gotta do this and I gotta do this and this is bugging me and like, why do I have to take so long on this? But like, it's all really good things. So maybe you have that, maybe you have like family get-togethers and you're like, oh, I have to go to this thing, but like, it's good. And so if you can put that spin back on it and remember that like, certain moments are important and certain things like don't have to be a hindrance to you. They can help you and they can heal you. So you can push yourself back up off of your reclining deer pose now. We're gonna move our props off to the side as soon as I pick a side. Okay, and now settling back for half corpse pose. Plant your feet nice and firm. You want to scoot them kind of close to your sit bones. We're going to take bridge pose, so a little activation coming your way. Spread through your shoulder blades, tuck your tail ever so gently, and inhale to lift the hips. Ooh, those quads. They are sore. I don't really know why either. I think we'll blame it on shoveling. So deep breaths here. Let the gaze go neutral and high so that your airway stays open. You want to keep breathing deeply, allowing all that energy to circulate and flow, working through those channels, purifying. And when we're taking yoga poses, we're strengthening our fascia and keeping it healthy. Fascia is so important. It's this casing around everything. Like the fascia is you. You are the fascia. You can exhale to lower your hips back down. And so anytime you're moving in ways that you don't normally, you're freeing up your fascia and making sure that it stays slick and glidey. You want your fascia to be soft. You don't want it to be brittle and like catch. We're gonna take supported bridge pose now. So block or bolster, your choice. Maybe you have a blanket that you like to use if it's got a little bit of height. I'm gonna take my bolster because it's soft and my sacrum needs softness. So slide your prop of choice under your sacrum. Oh yeah, that's good. And if you do have a bolster, making sure that you have space for your arms to flop to the side. And now settling in here with your breath for some time. You can stay where you're at and just kick it. If you want to go back further and bring your feet back into the air, you can take supported shoulder stand. And so there's a little more weight in your shoulder blades, which for me feels really nice. Reminder, if you have sore shoulder blades, like that space, like right where your shoulder blade is coming close to your spine, that little nook. On the left side, we hold blame there, and on the right side, we hold guilt. So maybe you've been, one side or the other has been pinging you. Perhaps you can reflect on like, oh, I've been blaming myself for this, or I've been feeling guilty towards so-and-so for that, or whatever. And then you can kind of receive these messages your body is telling you, and then work towards getting rid of the dis-ease and moving through it. We're gonna take 2 more breaths wherever we are. And if your feet are in the air, like wiggle out those toes, rotate your ankles. This is a good way to help prevent blood clots in the calves. It's by just, again, moving things around, no stagnation, not good, not good. As you exhale, drop your feet back down to earth. Oh, hip popped a little. And then as you inhale, you're gonna lift the hips, slide the prop out from underneath you. And now you're going to bring the knees into the chest, and we're gonna take some very soft rock and rolls. So these can be slow, and if rock and rolls aren't, ooh, I rolled really hard. If rock and rolls aren't for you, maybe you're just going side to side, wiggling, or maybe you're taking like baby ones. You can do that too, where you're just kind of rolling on the middle part of your back. Otherwise, big ones. So rock and rolls are a good way to soothe your nervous system. The bottom of your brainstem it's a non-communication part of your system. And so this is a way to like regulate it and calm it, which I just learned not too long ago. And I'm always drawn to rock and rolls, and I didn't know why, but that's probably why. You're gonna roll up to a seated position. Take your legs long out in front of you. So we're gonna go into a seated forward fold or a supported forward fold. So if you don't want the support, again, rotate the thighs out, spread the sit bones, and then you're just gonna reach for your toes and recline on down. If you do want some support, you can reach for your bolster or your fluffy blankie. And same thing, you're just gonna reach for your toes. I'm talking into my bolster. You're gonna reach for your toes and rest on the bolster. Again, you're kind of digging into the heels, and you want a little bit of a bend in your knees. And sinking here for 3 more breaths. You can release, coming back up to neutral. And now, what am I gonna do? Okay. Now, you're going to find a comfortable seated position, either taking crisscross applesauce legs, or you can do butterfly. Either or is cool. Spread out through your sit bones once again. And then you're going to take your left hand back behind your left hip, and your right hand's gonna go to your left knee. We're just gonna carve some diagonal lines to work through the shoulders. And so these are going to be somatic. And a reminder, somatics are when we pair our motion with our breath, but it's very intentional so that you're allowing your muscles to remember how to activate and how to release. So really thinking about, as we inhale, the thumbs coming up, there's tension and flexion in the shoulder, and then as we exhale, we're gonna rotate our wrist and then drop the arm. So you're feeling length coming through the bicep a little bit and through this front part of your shoulder. So inhale to come back up, and then exhale to drop down. And the inhale isn't always active and the exhale isn't always passive, but sometimes. But just working through the sensations you're feeling as you bring your arm up and you drop your arm down with the in and out breath. And allowing things to kind of like come back into place and release when you breathe out. We're taking one more all the way around. We'll come back to center and take it to the other side. Right hand behind your right hip, left hand on the right knee. I don't know why I did the rock on, but I do hand gestures, and I like don't even mean to these days. Like I'm constantly flying the hang loose. I mean, there are worse hand gestures to fly, so we'll just roll with it. So inhale to bring your thumb up. That was another squirrel moment. You're welcome. Exhale to drop back down behind your hip. Carving that. I like to think of these as like I'm painting a rainbow. When I come up and go back down. So maybe you're painting a big old beautiful sky or a gold beam of light. Get some visualization in there. Happy visualization, not scary. And yours can be a little bit slower than mine. I'm in one of those amped up moods, which is why I decided to do a restorative video today. This is the last time around, so you can come back. Okay, so now for the best one, I took a spring equinox like mini retreat last month, and it was so lovely. And those of you that attended with me, if you're watching, thank you. Oh, it was so magical, wasn't it? Just loved it. Anyway, you're going to take your blanket and you can, this is going to cradle your head. So depending on how much cradling you want is how much folding your blanket will have. That was a very strange way to phrase that, but whatever. Uniqueness. Okay. And then you're going to take your bolster. If you don't have a bolster, pillow is totally fine, or another blankie that's like rolled up. This is going to be in between your knees to cushion those bones. So coming into the fetal position, starting on the right side. Get your prop set, move your hair if you have to. My braid's been in my way all day, whatever. So now resting here. This is great. So option 2, bring your right hand out so the back of your hand is on the floor, and then your left palm can rest in your right palm. If this doesn't feel good for your shoulders, you can put your arms wherever is comfy for you. Once you're set, see if you can sink into some stillness after you get the wiggles out. Close your eyes down. And take 5 deep breaths here. Fully watching those breaths, trying to stay drawn in, down in the body as best you can. Letting your head rest, letting your heart rest. And most importantly, recharging and supporting yourself. If you need to have thoughts going, see if you can bring in some encouragement to yourself, some self-love, acceptance. And now you can stay here, or as you inhale, you can reach your left arm up and over to come into this like lovely supported twist. So shifting as you need to, opening through your heart. This is a good one to stretch your shoulders and your pecs. Again, I've said this in videos before, but if you have tight shoulders and like shoulder problems, it's very possible that you'll experience some pec pain. This happens to me all the time because those things are all connected and they're going through your body. We're not just like front side, back side, which I thought for the longest time. I don't know why, but I did. But yeah, everything's connected. Who'd have thunk? As you inhale, bring that left hand back over and exhale to stay in position. And now you can just roll over So keep your bolster where it is, and you're just gonna roll over. I'm gonna do something different. There we go. So now you're on your left side in the fetal position. There we go. So that was a little more maneuvering than I anticipated. So now your left hand, the back of it, is going to be resting on the floor, and then right hand rests in the left one. And if this isn't comfortable, again, maybe you're tucking or you're putting your hands wherever they need to be. There's that movie, I don't know what to do with my hands. I think it's Ricky Bobby. I don't know. Another squirrel moment coming at you. Sink into your fetal position. This is a great pose to do before you go to bed. So, because you're already in bed, you've got a pillow for your head, you can scrunch your blankies between your legs, and then mindfully breathe. The other big thing with restorative yoga is we're down regulating our nervous system. So we're giving the body the opportunity to get out of rest, or out of a fight and flight and into rest and digest. So we're going from the sympathetic to parasympathetic. And we're in our sympathetic nervous system like a lot, just with the way the world is. So it's important to access your rest and digest whenever possible. You can stay here or inhale to bring that right arm up and over to open completely through the chest, and you're gently twisting the torso, big old belly breaths. Anytime we're twisting, we are helping our internal organs, helping our digestive area. So many good things to yoga. I just love it. And as you experience this opening in this posture, what can you open to? What can you not put your walls up around? How can you reframe things? Not for others, but for you and you alone. Sometimes we shift things around. We're very good at like moving things around for others, but not necessarily for ourselves sometimes. So how can you be open for yourself to help you out? As you inhale, bring that right arm back up and over. Exhale, sinking in. And now you can make your way into corpse pose. I'm going to leave my blankie pillow where it is, and then I'm going to take my bolster and slide it under my legs. This is my favorite way to do corpse pose when I do it. Corpse pose is hard for me because I'm so jacked up all the time, which means I need it. So there you go. If a certain pose you don't particularly like, you brand need it. Sink in with your corpse pose for 5 breaths. Making sure your jaw is soft. Things are settling and releasing. Don't have to hold anything up right now. Take one final breath where you are. And then very slowly take your time, making your way to a seated position. Bring your hands to your heart center. Eyes can be open or closed. Thank you so much for being here, for taking your time for yourself and for your support. Greatly appreciate you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your time during your day or night. Namaste.